What's up, guys? Somebody in the comments tell me if you can hear me. And today, guys, I have the pleasure of bringing to you the Stan the Credit Frog. Stan, how are you today?
I am great, Luke. I've been looking forward to this all week. I know we have a lot of great opinions when it comes to these credit card topics. So I'm looking forward to discussing with you, seeing, if one of us is right or wrong, and also hearing everyone in the comments to see what they think about those topics as well.
Yeah, I just wanted to put out here that I think we're going to run this live in this way. First, I want to get into a couple of your questions because I think it's a really cool thing that you're going to ask a question on one of our community posts, and you're going to get you might get two different answers. There's a lot of things we do agree on, but we principally have different philosophies when it comes to the points and miles game. So you may get two different answers to these questions. After that, I do want to go into two separate topics. Specific topics, and these are going to be based on my first two members only videos. Stan is a member of my channel, and I posted some fairly strong opinions about a couple different philosophies and strategies. And of course, Stan has an opposite view, not an opposite view, a different view. Actually, it might be opposite. So we're going to go over that, and guys, we're going to do this in a way that is, we both recognize we're both in the same game and we both do really well in this game, but we also recognize we do these things completely different. So it's not going to be like your current presidential debates. It's going to be two guys talking points and miles, and we do things differently, but I don't think necessarily either one of them is the way. So we have two pretty good discussions, I think, coming up for you. And then afterwards, we're going to go over some of the questions that were posted on Stan's community post. So I think all in all, we're going to get you about 2 hours. And absolutely, let's hear your feedback. If you have live questions, absolutely. If you have any kind of evidence or data points that support one of our, I won't say arguments, one of our points of view, put it on here, man. So I think we're going to have a good time here. And like Cesar, my man, says, two handsome legends. We are the two most beautiful men in the credit card game. So very happy for that to be part of our show. So congratulations to you guys.
Appreciate that, Cesar. Good to see you, mi hermano.
Because we do have so much information and so much stuff going on, I'm probably not going to recognize every single person in here, but just know that anybody that's in here, we both really do appreciate you spending your time with us.
Absolutely. I do want to mention also for Cesar, I just thought this right now, maybe Cesar could be your translator. You know how when you have a news feed or whatever, and there's on the bottom there's someone speaking dubbing over in Spanish. I think Cesar would be great for that for one of our videos. So yeah. Idea, Cesar. Just think about it.
I wonder if he can rebroadcast our live. That would be cool.
He could do one of those React videos. I'm going to react to Stan and Luke and do it in Spanish. I think that'd be really cool. Cool idea for you, Cesar. And pretty much, since you're the guy for the Spanish-speaking credit card YouTube channels, I think that'd be awesome.
Yeah, I'd authorize it. I think it's great. Good.
Yeah.
Let me see here. Let's go over just a couple of these. We got the Platinum OG as a longtime friend of the channel. Thanks again for the shout out for Grandma. If you don't watch my lives, he was watching the live with Grandma. And Grandma couldn't figure out how I was giving her a shout out live. So very cool, Platinum OG. You must have to have that kind of relationship with your grandma. You are definitely doing something right. Rodrigo says, I'm coming out with the steel. We're not going to do steel chairs. This is going to be more like two guys smoking a cigar, debating old boxing champions. So, it's going to be one of those things where there really can't be someone who's right, but more right for you.
Mm-hmm. Oh my goodness. I don't know if I can even lift a steel chair. I have to test my strength.
I don't, yeah, we're not doing steel chairs, but I am a fan of big time wrestling. So, all right. Nice. So, let's get right into this. Let's start with your community post. And you did have a couple really good questions from your channel members and subscribers. Whoops, that's not it. I'm letting the cat out of the bag, Stan. Sorry. This is Kerbix. Do you want to read that, Stan, since it was on your page?
Yeah, sure. So Kerbix asked both of us that he actually is going to be staying at about 40-ish nights at Holiday Inn for work. So actually getting platinum elite status on IHG right away, just without any kind of specialty. what should he do with the points, specifically with the IHG points he's getting? Is it worth going for the IHG card? And what are some of the best mid-tier properties to try? And so I guess I'll start off here. Basically, for me, IHG is one of those kind of those hotel programs that you don't hear about that often, but actually it's a really, really strong program. And I've actually really gotten to know it a lot more the past year, and I really like it now, especially for those Holiday Inns. I do feature that in my channel in a video later on, but basically I really like Holiday Inns, and I know you have talked about that on your channel too, Luke, about staying at Holiday Inns, and you like how they have that property, you know, the mid-tier properties are pretty comfortable. They've got the free breakfast. They're usually very convenient. So I actually think that that's great. If you have this many stays in IHG, I do highly recommend getting the IHG card for the one reason that I would say is because of that fourth night free benefit. You cannot get that fourth night free benefit until you have an IHG card, whether it be the business or the personal. I believe also the traveler, which is the no annual fee version, also has that option. So if you want to go no annual fee route, that's another way to go. I can't remember off the top of my head if there is currently still an IHG Premier elevated offer. I think there still is for, I think it's $170K for a 4K spend in 3 months. That would be the way to go if you want to do that. So that's the answer to that question. For the second part, I would say that I've only been to 3, and I know you've been to more types of IHG properties, probably, Luke. I've been to Kimptons, Holiday Inns, and Intercontinentals. Those are the 3 options I've been to. And they've all been great. I've had no problems with any of them. I think they're all good for what they're for. And so I would say any of those 3 are great. I've gotten good redemptions, 1.3 to 1.5 cents per point, even as high as that, which is pretty good for IHG. So that's my answer, Luke. I don't know if you have anything to add to that.
Yeah, I mean, if you were to ask me which, let me put us back up here, which properties, I'm going to give you the same answer I give everybody. Go to the Kimpton Sapphire Resort in Grand Cayman. And the reason for that is it's not a mid-range, but 4 nights, assuming you can get that 4th night free. And I do recommend getting one of those cards if you are staying at IHG properties for sure. Those cards are super underrated. But the Kimpton Sapphire Resort, Sapphire, yeah, see, I always call it Sea Mist. It's a Sapphire Resort. If you can do 4 days, you can do it for 70,000 IHG points for 210,000 IHG points, and those rooms come in at over $1,000 a night sometimes. I think IHG is such a huge program; it's hard to pick the best mid-tier properties. And the first thing that comes to my mind is this month we're going to Portugal. Lisbon, Portugal for spring break, and we're staying at a Vignette. I think it's called a Vignette, whatever the brand is. It's the IHG, and it was not pricey. So I ended up actually getting 2 rooms because Europe has that weird thing where you can't have a kid with you. You have to buy a whole nother room or something. So even with buying 2 rooms, it was not super expensive, and it's a really cool looking property. So I don't know, man. IHG is so huge. There are so many mid-tier properties. I like Holiday Inns for certain things. I like Kimptons for certain things, and I'm going to be trying that mid-tier Vignette. So I think it's a great program. I think if you're earning, and I do want to mention what Cesar commented here. If you're going to be in on IHG, definitely consider using some cash back to buy IHG points. They go on sale several times a year for half a penny each. I buy the maximum every year, and I've started suggesting that my player 2 buy the maximum every year. So great program. I hope we gave you some ideas, but it's a huge program. So you have tons and tons of options there.
Yeah. One note on that, Luke, if you do plan on having your player 2 go ahead and buy the points, the only way to transfer them for free is if you both have Diamond Elite status. However, if you have something called, I think, IHG Business Rewards, and that's a free program. If you both sign up for that, then you can transfer them over for free. That's what I've read. I'm gonna try that with my other player 2 my player 2, because that way it will hopefully be free. Because if you don't have that option, it actually is very expensive to transfer points over and not worth it.
I was just thinking in my situation, my player 2 has the IHG Premier Personal card, and I have the business card. So when I have her buy it, we both have platinum status. Is it platinum? Yeah, platinum status. So she could just book it herself.
I see.
But yeah.
Okay. Well, if you want to combine, that's why.
Yeah. Big program, lots of options. you have a good you have a good situation there. You want to field another one, Stan?
Absolutely. All right. So this next question comes from Andrew B. He says, how much everyday spend over the last year for each of us was for welcome offers? I know for Luke, that may be hard to calculate because you've had so many. But while you think about it in your head, I'll just start. So I think I had 4 or 5 welcome offers over last year, and I think it was about $20,000 total for me for just welcome offers, organic spend. So that was pretty good. I had, cards like the Hilton Honors card from last year with that $70K bonus plus food night certificate. I had the Southwest cards, obviously, too, for that companion pass. And then we had the Ink Preferred as well. We had that $100K bonus that happened last year as well. So those are some of the cards that went into my stable of welcome offer spend. But Luke, I know you've had plenty. Can you even talk about how many cards you had in 2024? Do you even know the number?
I don't know the number. Well, let me put it in perspective. As I sit here with you, I'm currently working on 5 sign-up bonuses. So that should tell you the velocity does change, but it's always very high. I don't know how many credit cards I have. I would say in the last 12 months, I would bet I've gotten more than 15 credit cards in the last 12 months.
Absolutely. Mm-hmm.
So I don't know how much that is. I guess this question leads into the secondary part is how much have I overspent on welcome bonuses? And that's something I do struggle with, but this is the way I kind of parlay that in my brain. I am the guy who will eat beans and franks and never leave the house if someone doesn't get me to get out and spend my money. My player 2 has done a really good job of opening up my purse strings and getting me to spend my money. And we balance each other fairly well. And so she gets me to open it up and spend more. And I still fight that a little bit. So I don't overspend too much, but I do have that constant fear that I'm overspending. But
do you have a general range of what you think, how much you spent last year for welcome offers specifically?
And I don't have a clue. We're talking about a $15,000 platinum business card, a $10,000 platinum gold card, several $5,000 and $6,000, 50, 60, well, maybe $50,000, maybe more than that, maybe $50,000 or $60,000. But I do come up with ways to pay bills and things with a credit card that a lot of people don't think of. I just paid 4 different tax bills. I pay my own homeowner's insurance for 2 different houses. I pay my own property taxes for 2 different houses. So a lot of that are expenses that I have to do anyway. And I just put it like this. I never miss an opportunity to put a regular bill on a credit card.
Yeah, I think that's a great way to do it too. I mean, you do the best you can. I think you go a little bit hard, Luke. I'm not gonna beat around the bush about that, but 15 is a lot. But I know there's gonna be a lot of those high spend cards, but there's gonna be some of those little credit union cards that have little $1,000 blips. So that's not much for you. I do want to go back to where you talked about you and your wife, how you guys spend. I feel like it's very similar to what my wife and I do. I do very little of the spending per se, but she's really good with buying the groceries. She doesn't do a lot of retail spending. But one thing I am trying to work on also is the way I spend. So I know things like Amex offers, Chase offers are very good. And so there are very good ways to get a lot of points. I actually ignore them most of the time. And the reason for that is that I find myself trying to spend on those offers because there's a sale. And so that for me is something I know about myself that I want to avoid. But I've found myself that I'm one of those people that I will just not spend any money for a big period of time. But then if I want something, I just go out and buy it, whether it's on sale or not. Right. And so I don't know if that's better or worse than just waiting for something, getting it for sale, but getting more things versus getting that one thing you really want for full price. And so I'm still working out if that's the best thing for me or not. But again, everyone's spending is different. And so that's how you get onto these welcome offers. And that's how you can, hopefully get those points when you spend on them organically like that.
Yeah, I'm the same way. I may go 60 days with, hey, we can't go out to a sit down restaurant because it's too much money. And at the same time, I go to Viator before this Portugal trip, and I'll spend whatever it takes to go see this castle. Or I do want to do it
Yeah.
big, so it's really, you know, I think everybody's different in how they spend their money. I think the welcome offers, I would suggest that make sure you're not overspending just to make a welcome offer, because real money is always better than points and miles money.
Points are not valuable until you redeem them. They're worth
Right.
0.
All right, let's do how many we have 2 more on your community post, so we can probably knock those out. This one looks interesting.
Sure. So I'll read that one out for you. So Stephen V asks, he's planning his honeymoon for fall 2025. By the way, congratulations on the either upcoming wedding or already wedding, depending on what's going on. But the honeymoon sounds very exciting. You want to plan a business class airfare from San Francisco to Europe, mainly UR points, but obviously you can get welcome offers for other, other banks. Do you have any airline recommendations for the best cent per point redemption? And also another part of it was any particular airport that gets a better redemption than the others. And so for me, I don't have much to add, only because I have never actually booked a trip to Europe on points before, nor have I ever looked at it. But I know you have, Luke. So do you have any responses to this question?
This is tough for me because I live in the Midwest. And I have actually, the only flights I've ever looked at out of San Francisco would be to Asia or Hawaii. So I can't help you much with, I'm trying to think of, and my only answer would be things that I've read in articles and blogs. And I do know Flying Blue still has redemptions from San Francisco, although that's a whole different conversation, because very recently Flying Blue has kind of taken all their business class redemptions, and all their business class Saver awards are missing in action. So, Stephen, I don't have a whole lot to give you here, man. I just don't fly out of San Francisco, and I don't have the brain power to look at flights from somewhere I'm never going to fly out of.
What about if there was a additional question or additional information? If he was able to do a positioning flight to the East Coast like JFK, does that change the way you would respond to the question?
Yeah, from what I understand, ORD Chicago has the most direct international flights out of any airport in the United States. And I'm quite sure that United flies from SFO to Chicago. And so I would, if you have trouble finding things from San Francisco, I'd probably look from Chicago. How I do my business is I do recognize that Chicago is a great option, but most of my positioning flights are Boston, JFK, or Washington Dulles, and they're for a couple of different reasons. Boston and JFK because it's huge and there's tons of options. Washington Dulles because they have a lot of lounges, and they have a Capital One lounge that I think is just great. But in Boston, because for instance, I'm flying from Boston to Lisbon this month. It's the closest. It gets me closer to my destination, and I think they have a Chase Sapphire lounge. So I do it a little bit for convenience, but I also want to make sure there's something good there to stop. And I do want to clear something up. I'm thinking, in one of my previous lives, someone said something about when you do these really high level international flights, you're flying all over the place to position, and it doesn't make any sense. And you're turning a 4-hour flight into a 12-hour flight. I just want to clear something up. The positioning, I can't go to Europe from Columbus, Ohio. So first off, I have to go somewhere else first. I don't go backwards. I don't fly to Dallas to go to, Frankfurt. So every time I go to Europe, I have to position somewhere. And it makes sense that it's JFK or Boston or Washington Dulles, because it's on my way there. So you could do that, but I also know there are probably some decent options from San Francisco. So if you don't want to do the connection, and the connections are a pain in the butt, they're not, they suck. So I would actually I would recommend Seats.aero. We talked about that just a few minutes ago. I would recommend Seats.aero and plug SFO into the website, and they'll give you a tons of different options. So I would, and it's a paid service. You can do it with a free option. I would pay for it. Whatever you pay for that month is going to save you thousands of dollars and several headaches. So Seats.aero, plug in San Francisco and have at it, man. You'll have a lot of good options.
Awesome.
Go one more, Stan, and then we'll get to one of the big time topics. And this is one that's definitely for you.
Okay. So Matt F asks, what would you do if you could put a $100,000 IRA into either Bank of America or U.S. Bank? U.S. Bank Smartly is kind of the specific versus like a Bank of America Premium Rewards or Elite versus 2 customized cash rewards cards. He wants to have a hybrid setup, but he also wants travel, so foreign transaction fees are important too. And so for me, if I could choose one or the other, honestly, I would probably choose US Bank right now. The reason for that is because I don't know how long the Smartly 4% is going to last. And so you want to really take advantage of that as much as you possibly can. You can use other cards to have a foreign transaction fee card. And of course, it's going to depend on, are you traveling all the time, like 6 months out of the year or more? Or are you just going like once a year? If it's once a year, having a Smartly card is not going to be a bad issue, right? It's just basically going to be, I have to get a different card for that specific time frame. So I would actually err on the side of US Bank Smartly. But, you know, if you want to have more of a long-term setup and you want to have cards that you probably would keep, you know, for a lot of different reasons, I would say the Premium Rewards card TCR combo is always going to be a good, solid way to go, because they're probably never going to change that program. They'll probably even make it better at some point in the future, but they've been pretty steady Eddie the whole way through. And so if you want that sort of setup to be built at the beginning, then that's what I would go with as well. So yeah, not a right or wrong answer, but I feel like the Smartly card, it's not going to last so long. I would say maybe a couple of years, if that. They've already sent out those letters to people saying that it's only for personal expenses, not business expenses. And so you can see they're already keeping their eye on it. So we'll have to see how long it lasts. But if you can get that benefit before it goes away, 4% everything is very, very solid for no annual fee.
And Stan, you've experienced both of those programs, right?
Yes, I have 100K in both Bank of America and US Bank. So I have both right now. But I know not everyone has that option. A lot of people do have that option. But if you don't, then choosing one or the other, that's kind of, I think, the crux of the question.
And just to go with our theme of the day of opposing thoughts, I am milling over an option to retire from my day job early, fairly soon. And if that were the case, I would participate in one of these programs. I would put 100K either in both or at least in one, just to be in the program, and that would shift more towards a cashback setup. And I actually thought, for me, the Bank of America option would be better. And it's not for the foreign transaction fees, because, like you said, I can bring any card with me for the few days I travel overseas. But I like the Bank of America. I like what seems like more full service cards they have with some travel options.
They have that Alaska card, the Air France KLM card, like you said. You already have Bank of America cards too, so you don't want to add, another card to US Bank or whatever. I think Bank of America is a great option. I would say that those 5.25% cashback cards are pretty good, especially for no annual fee, and they have very good options. I mean, restaurants cover a lot of things. It's very broad. Travel covers a lot of things, including transit. Online shopping is very powerful, obviously. And then you can get multiple versions of customized cash rewards cards as well, not only for yourself, but for your player too as well. And that's actually pretty easy. Like when I got married, my wife was not Platinum Honors, but I just opened a joint brokerage and just transferred all my money from the single brokerage to the joint brokerage, and voila, she was Platinum Honors. And that was it. It was very easy, right? So now she has customized cash rewards cards that have 5.25%. And so now it's a really easy thing to do,
Now, can you speak on the actual brokerage accounts? Because I heard a lot of nightmares about the U.S. Bank as far as the operations of having those IRAs. Now, you're not trading in your IRA, right? You're just buying the boring stuff and letting it sit. So you don't really care how the interface as much, right?
Yeah, it's really just a matter of buying and holding. At least, I'm otherwise pretty young, right? I'm in my late 30s. And so really buying an index fund is very easy to do, and you just buy it and hold, basically. I would say the US Bank one does suck. Once you know how to buy ETF and do that, that's all you really need to know how to do. And that's pretty easy. For Bank of America and Merrill Edge, it's actually a little bit better. The interface actually is a lot better than US Banks. But I've never had a problem. The thing is with Merrill Edge is that they don't have as many mutual fund or stock options that you would imagine, or ETF options. So they're kind of limited from that regard. But if they have the ETF you want to buy and hold, that's all that matters.
Right.
And opening up the brokerage is super easy and very fluid, and it's not that hard. And they do respond to you. And you can go to the Bank of America offices, and they have full service Merrill Edge people there to help you. So it's really helpful from that regard too. And they will
Awesome.
definitely do so if you're platinum honors.
Yeah, well, that's good to hear
Yeah.
from personal experience and perspective. So guys, that was it from Stan's community post. 126 folks in the chat right now. Hit that like button for us. And we're going to go through some of these live comments, and then we're going to get right into the round one of the main event. Matt Clausen's in the house. What's up, Matt?
Nice.
Here we go.
Good to see you, Matt.
Miko just stayed at the Kimpton Theta in Manhattan. 40,000, okay. So some of the Kimptons are going to be in that mid tier. Hopefully he's having a great time. Kirby, we answered his question. He's at 525 until July. It's only my roadmap. We're going to talk about roadmaps here in a little while. Questioning if I should try the targeted offer I got for 5 free 35K nights. Is that for the IHG?
That's the IHG, yep.
If you're asking me, you risk it for the biscuit. You fire off that application. That's me, because from what I have found, and this has been debated on Credit Reddit and other people, I found that if there is a promotion or a higher offer, sometimes they loosen up that 524. So I would fire it off. Some people are a lot more conservative than me. I consistently have over 20 inquiries on my credit report, so I don't care.
I agree with Luke, not with the 20 inquiries, but I agree with just risking for the biscuit situation. I would say that I would just add that if you had a redemption in mind, that would be better, only because those free certificates do expire after 1 year. And so there have been situations where if you don't have something in mind, then that's going to be a problem, because then they may expire. But other than that, I agree. If you think you're going to use it, and you probably will because you're staying at IHG so many times, I think that would be a great card to get.
This one's interesting. There are so many Stan the Credit Pros on YouTube, but this one is the best. I don't know what that means, but it gave me Fight Club vibes. Like, like are you really here, Stan?
I hope I am. I think I am, anyways. But
are you some deep? What's the word I'm looking for?
Deep fake.
But you're like a deep part of my brain that doesn't really exist. You're like the I don't know.
I'm like a hallucination.
Yeah, like
you're your imagination.
You're the Tyler Durden in my brain on Fight Club. It's not really you.
Fortunately, we have a bunch of people on the live to figure that out if I'm here or not. So hopefully I'm here. I think I'm here, but
okay.
Remains to be seen.
Awesome. Let me see. Once you make that's something different. We're not going to get into that. Chad from Chad's Money Minutes is in the house.
Big Chad.
Big Chad. Great dude. Great YouTuber. Check his stuff out. We both had the opportunity to meet Chad more than once, and we're lucky to know him. Anthony Venture is on fire.
Hey, Tony.
Definitely check out Anthony's channel. Oh, Kirby G is in Columbus, and it's better. Of course, it's better than Cleveland. But here's the thing: anywhere is better than Cleveland. Me and Stan are Bengals fans.
That's right.
Yeah, Dugras reports in the house. Dugras has a great channel. Great perspective on things. Love to check out his lives.
Yeah, one of these days we got to get all three of us on together. I think that was something that was discussed a little while ago. I think that would be really great because I think we all have something to add to everything. So we'll have to figure that out, Luke, next time that we do this.
That would be really fun. Yeah,
triple live.
Definitely. Okay, we're going to do one more, and then we're going to get to the main event. Mr. Michael Pythium, longtime friend of the channel, longtime hardcore credit card points and miles champion, Michael Pythium. Thoughts on the Robinhood Gold Card? Michael just got it, and it's supercharged. Stan, I'll let you take that one. What do you think of that one?
Well, I just made a video of the best no annual fee credit card setup for this year, and the Robinhood Gold Card did end up on that list with the catch-all credit card side. I think if you can get off the wait list, it's a great card to have, but I know that there's a lot of people that have not gotten off the wait list as quickly as some of others. I think one of the data points I've heard is that if you have investments with Robinhood, or you bank with them, or you have IRAs and you have a lot of assets with them, your ability off the wait list is a lot faster than someone who just is on the wait list with nothing at Robinhood. But I think it's a great card. I mean, again, $50 annual fee for Robinhood Gold, 2% on cashback on everything. I mean, it's a great offering, especially with no foreign transaction fees. And I think it's a little bit more stable, or at least seems more stable than the US Bank Smartly. I would just say that we're still trying to figure out what counts for a 3% cashback, because there have been some data points saying that there are some certain purchases that aren't counted, or they're saying that they're not counted.
Yeah, I don't cover that card. I'm not saying it's a bad card. I think if you, like Stan said, if you already have a relationship with Robinhood, then yeah, heck yeah, sure. I don't have a relationship with Robinhood. I just don't. So I don't cover the card. I'm not bullish on that card long term. I don't think it's going to be a 3% cashback card forever. Which some people would say, well, grab it while you can. I'm not a fan of it. But if it's getting you 3% cashback on something you would otherwise only get 2% cashback, then it's 50% better, I guess.
That's right.
So if it's working, man. All right. So Stan has been chomping at the bit for some of these topics we're talking about here. And the first one, let me see here. Let me get this ticker off. If I can get that. There we go. So let me set this up, because I know most of you have not seen my channel member videos, but let me go over like an over generalization of this video, and then I'll let Stan talk about it, and then I'll try to kind of defend myself with it. My first video was roadmaps are silly. Credit card roadmap, not real roadmaps. You need those sometimes, but credit card roadmaps are silly. The main focus of the video was get your main credit card setup, whether that's a Capital One Duo, a Chase Trifecta, or if you're an Amex guy. Once you have that main everyday spend set up, then everything else is easy peasy lemon squeezy. Get your sign up bonuses. I'm not saying do everything willy-nilly, but if you need Hilton points, run the Hilton cards. I don't believe in having a super strict strategy planned out too far. One, because things change so fast. Two, because you change so fast. And three, and this is my hot take. I think once you have your credit card set up, you can take all the options out there and put them on a wall, and you can throw a dart. Whatever you hit, you apply for. And you can adjust your velocity accordingly, and you can do just as well with a super strategic, well thought out, planned credit card strategy. And I think it beats it because of volume. Does that sound about right, Stan?
Yeah, that's a good summary of your video.
All right. Well, Stan does not like that philosophy.
Yeah, so I left a comment on that video. So first of all, I wanted to start out by saying, yes, I actually think it's nice that we both agree that you want to start with your core credit card setup first, because a lot of times when I talk to individuals that are starting out in the credit card game or get their credit cards, there's a lot of focus on welcome offers, because that's what we say is the best value, which it is. And I think no one's doubting that. But I think having a core setup is important, because there will be times, for the most part, where you will not have a welcome offer to hit. And so having that really good core credit card setup to fall back on is very, very important. So you have all those elevated earnings on those really basic everyday multipliers. So where we start to differ is what we do after we establish that core credit card setup. And you're saying that, well, we should just get what we want, when we want, whenever we want. And I think for some people, that's fine. So for example, you are older, you have an established credit report, you have a house already, you have a lot of these things already in place, right? For other people that may be younger or just starting out, they may not have those things quite yet. And so that's where it becomes more of an issue to start out with the credit card roadmap. And I know that Spencer Johnson was the one that really made that popular, and I actually agree with that strategy wholeheartedly, is that you should plan out to some degree the credit cards you want to get to see where you're going. That way you can see the forest through the trees. So there's a lot of credit card rules out there, like the Amex 290, the Amex 115, the Chase 524, the Bank of America 23, I think it's 234, something like that, 12, I can't remember anymore. There's a lot of rules out there. And so if you can figure out these rules first, and then figure out where you want to go. Like, do you want to target, flexible point currencies? Do you want to target hotels or airlines? Or what is your strategy? What is your goal? Like you always say, Luke, what is your goal in the credit card game? What do you want to achieve? Having that roadmap puts a good structure to navigate around the rules and definitely try to help, everyone help yourself figure out what's going on. It looks like Luke is over there doing some things, but that's really the crux of my argument.
Stan, I'm going to let me pause for one moment. Somebody's at my door and I'll get rid of them. I'll be right back.
No problem. So I'll just keep talking here while we're discussing that. So that's kind of been what my thought is with credit card roadmaps, is that even though I do agree with Luke in the sense that, you can get the card you want when you want it, if you've thought it through, having a roadmap will help make sure that you don't have any kind of problems with your Chase 524 status, anything like that. And then that way it'll open up the opportunity for you to get better cards in the future. Like you said, things change all the time. Credit cards, like new credit card comes out, there's upgrades to different other credit cards. And so because of all the ever-changing credit card landscape, having that roadmap is important, and understanding that it will change over the course is also important too. And so I just got to cover it at the very end there, Luke, about how things change all the time, and that how even though you have a roadmap, you still have to be flexible with it too. But you caught the first part of my answer. So what do you think about that?
Oh, I heard the whole thing. I told the guy to leave.
Okay.
Here, I don't disagree with anything you're saying. That's why this is so cool. But here's, in my experience, the advantages of having a strategic roadmap. And there's going to be some waiting periods in there. You're going to get less cards. So I think the pluses of doing it that way get blown away by the velocity of getting the cards faster and quicker. So I guess what I'm saying is, sorry, I ran up the stairs and I'm not in very good shape. Getting the more perfect 10 cards can't compete with getting the less perfect 30 cards. You're going to get the exact cards you want for the next 24 months, but I'm going to go to Europe 15 times in that time.
Sure,
So,
but what if you don't want to go to Europe 15 times? If you go to Europe one time?
Well, if where do we want to go? Like, I'm assuming.
Well, the thing is, I think that you have a great strategy for your life, because you, as you have said on your channel, you travel internationally a lot. You do a lot of trips, a lot of family trips. Great for everyone, great for your family. Some people don't travel as much. Like, I would love to travel as much as you, obviously, but I don't. And so while I can get a lot of cards, maybe I won't get as many at once, but I'll have a strategy to have them in the back pocket later on. And because I'm following a lot of the rules that are laid out, I'm not getting them as fast, but I will have intentional points and miles for intentional trips that may not be as frequent and fast as you, because I know you're a go guy, and that's really awesome for you and your family. And I wish I could do that too, like I said, but sometimes it's just not in the cards based on your job, based on your family status, things like that.
See, I would balance that with, okay, let's say you don't want to go on as many trips, so don't apply for points and miles cards. We could probably sit here and name 50 really good cashback cards we could both apply for this week. And I don't know anyone listening to this or anyone in my life that can't use an extra $250, an extra $200. And if that's the case, I don't care if you're not going to spend it. Like you said, put it in an ETF. And I think if your velocity is high enough, you might not need any travel cards. You're going to have all that cash sitting there. Here's my overall view. If you took someone after they get their core cards, so let's say everybody has their City trifecta, everybody has their Chase cards, and you went through 4-year period. One got every single card at the exact time they wanted, and maybe they got 4 cards a year, and they got the Ritz-Carlton card, and they did all those different things. And then one person just said, I'm getting whatever card looks good for the day. I think after 4 years, I think it's going to be exponentially more beneficial for the one who's put the pedal to the metal and the velocity, because there's going to be so many more points, so many more miles, so much more cash back. And I do think it like the one thing you said that I can't really debate is if you're 25 years old and you want to buy that condo in 3 years, you can't play that way. It absolutely not. You're going to have to keep your inquiries low. You're going to have to be way more strategic. But I think, but if we took two people who could play either way, I think the person with the high velocity, and let's say I really want, let me see. Let's say, so we're in an Amex ecosystem, and I'm currently in this position now. I want to get an Amex card right now, but I've already gotten 2 American Express cards in 90 days. So I have to wait until April 6th to get another one. Well, I've already gotten 3 of them since then. So instead of waiting until April 6th, I'm going to get these 3 cards, hit the sign-up bonuses, and I'm still going to get that card on April 6th. And we can debate whether I'll get approved or not, but I'm pretty good at getting approved. So
Yeah.
well,
I think you've been blessed with that, with that kind of luck. I mean, getting that many cards with that many inquiries, I feel that some people may not have that same luck where they go the fast route, have a very high velocity, but at some point you hit this wall where the banks start to deny you for cards just the entire way through. Every single bank starts, and every time you apply for a card, it's a new inquiry, right? So that's a problem too.
Well, I have an answer for that. And I think the people who do hit those walls, they are stuck on Chase Amex City. And I think what you could, here's a good example. You like the US bank cards. That's a completely different world as far as how to get approved and having a relationship. And then when you get even deeper into that, Elon Financial runs US Bank's credit card program. Now, Elon Financial also runs the credit card program for thousands of regional, local banks and credit unions. They have almost the exact same credit cards. So let's say you're a fan of the US Bank Cash Plus and your velocity's been too high. You're not getting anything from US Bank. You could go to Park National. You could go to West Banco, put $100 in their checking account, buy a certificate of deposit for $500, and then they'll sell you a credit card, and it'll be the exact same credit card as the US Bank Cash Plus. But I think there's just tons of different options out there to keep that going. And this is only for people who, now I will admit, I push it way too hard. But I guess at the end of the day, my argument is after a period of time, I'm going to be so much further with points, miles, and cash back. And I don't think the negatives are ever going to catch up to me. Like, I don't think I'm going to sit, I don't think at the end of the year, I'm going, man, I really can't get that Chase Emerald card. I messed that all up after I've gotten 16 cards this year. I don't think that's a good, a good trade-off.
Sure. But so 2 things. First of all, what if you really wanted the Chase Emerald card? I'll say that off the bat. We don't know what the Emerald card has, but maybe it's something amazing that's like better than anything we've ever seen before. Highly doubtful, but possible. The second thing is that, if you have the velocity that you do, I'm just curious to ask, why would you care about a core credit card setup anymore? Because you may be like, I think Filmo was here a little early in the comments, and I love Filmo because Filmo he does just welcome offers, and he's really good at it. So he also has that luck just like you. But, if you just do welcome offers, like, why have a core credit card setup then? What's that importance to you? Like, do you ever use it for anything?
Because I do think that train stops eventually. I do think there is an end into all this at some point. And if your argument was, I never want to see that end, so I'm going to go pace myself and I'm going to go a little slower so I can always get new cards, that makes sense. But even still, I think pushing that pace and then hitting a wall, if I hit a wall today and I couldn't get approved for another credit card for 2 years, I'm still way ahead of anyone who's going slowly. Like
Sure.
I mean, way ahead. And I did it very quickly. And obviously this is just me, but I can go anywhere I want. Like right now, I can go anywhere I want.
Mm-hmm.
Next month, I can go anywhere I want. Not that I have that much time, but I've hit this credit card points and miles so hard, then I have everything I need. But yeah,
I think that I was just going to say, for you, I think it makes a lot of sense. But the reason why I think roadmaps are helpful is because these banks have all these rules. Like, for example, 6-7 years ago when they didn't have as many rules, I think what you're doing is great. I think velocity, you're absolutely right. Velocity makes things a lot faster and you can get a lot more value, and there's really no downside to it. But then once these banks introduce these rules, you know, you have to play by the rules to some degree. And the way that you can really strategize that out and make sure that you can get the cards that you want to get based on your goals and your strategies is by doing a roadmap. And that's kind of what I think is the better way to go. Not saying that high velocity is bad. It's just a matter of, I guess it comes back to like where you are in your credit card journey and what your I don't know what the word is, but what your tolerance is for the amount of velocity you have.
Another example is RJ Financial. He does the same thing on the cashback side. He has a ton of inquiries. He has a ton of very high velocity. Now, he has said that he has started to get declined for cards. So, that, but for whatever reason, that end of the tunnel, I thought would have been a long time ago for me. And I'm still getting approved. Now, I do get declined. I'm not going to sit here and pretend like I never get declined for cards. I just most recently got declined for the city AA personal card. I've had it before, and I think I'm on the other side of my 48-month window to get another one. I got declined, and I've gotten declined for a lot of city cards. But here's how I kind of see that: when Citi declines me, Virgin Atlantic will give me a card. I didn't get Citi points, or I didn't get AA points, which I wanted, but now I have 70,000 Virgin miles, which I love too. So I think the biggest thing is most of us think your velocity can only be so high, and I would argue that it can probably be way higher than what you think it is. So I don't think you're wrong at all. I think a planned out, the pace you want to set is great. Here's my problem. I don't have any way to be moderate in my life. I don't have the personality to be moderate at anything. I kind of go by that. I don't know who first said it, but anything worth doing is worth overdoing. Moderation is for sissies. So if I start doing something, I have to hit it, and I can't see any negatives right now from what I've done. I don't get denied for mortgages. I don't get denied for refinances. So all the things people think happen, they've not happened to me. So
yeah, that's really good. I don't think getting denied for that's an issue. Maybe getting like a lesser, like, APY or APR or something like that would be an issue. But I don't think that's a big deal for you at this point.
I'm sitting at 2.5.
Yeah, so
we're sitting at 2.5. So I can't even sell it.
So you refined at the right moment, which is great.
Yeah.
You're doing all of the right things, which is awesome. But again, I think it depends on where you're at. Also, I think one thing we didn't cover that should be covered in this topic is the simplicity versus complexity argument too. So, you apply for multiple cards, many, many cards. You have tons of them, 40 plus or what have you. But maybe each of those cards at a different credit union or different bank. And, that's fine. It's not bad. It's just that now you have like 30 to 40 banks that you have to keep track of. Where's my money? Like, I don't know where it is. Like, do I want to have a bunch of different apps on my phone for all these things? Like, some people are just fine with that. That's okay. At some point it will get a little overwhelming, in my opinion, too, to figure out where my money is. Like, is it getting the best return? Like, how can I make that better? That's the one argument I would say too. Some people have a level of, they don't want to get too complex with their finances because it just gets too overwhelming. You and RJ do it great. Like, you guys show that it can be done at a very high level, but it's a lot, right? Especially because that's a small part of your life. You have other things in your life that are going on that you want to focus your time on. And so that's another reason why I think having those less of a velocity may be more helpful to some people.
And just to help you out a little bit, I do have a level of hypocrisy here, because in our second topic, I'm going to say that you should be focusing on earning income and not some little details, when right now I'm talking about doing just the opposite. So, there is some hypocritical thinking when we talk about these topics. But like I said, I mean, to sum this up, I don't think either one of us are wrong. I can see a lot of people having a lot of problems with how I do my business. And I don't think there's anything wrong with how you're stating to do your business. Nothing wrong with that. I just, and it's not a discipline problem. I don't have a discipline issue where if I see a card, I have to apply for it, even if it means something negative happens to me. I just don't ever have any negative effects from it. And even if I did, so let's say I apply for a card and for whatever reason, my credit score goes down 25 points and it doesn't go right back up. I'm not going to do that anymore. So, but that's not been my experience. And I also cancel cards. So I think that's another important thing. I do cancel these cards, and just to, I don't want to get in the weeds, but I've not had a bunch of negative effects from canceling my cards. Like we both agree, you get your core cards first and you never cancel those. So your average age of credit ages. And let's say you get a card for the bonus. I don't ever have a problem canceling that card after a year. It might even improve my credit score, because it has the average age of credit from all my cards will probably go up. But if I had negative effects, I would think much differently about this whole theory. I just haven't had any negative effects from it.
Yeah. Well, I think the credit score issue is because both you and I have credit cards that are 20 to 30 years old with 100% positive payment history. That's huge, right? A lot of people don't have that when they first start out.
True.
So for us to get one card that plinks our credit score by 2 points, maybe even just do anything at all, right? If that's because we have all that backing.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so it's just a matter of what your previous credit history looks like. And so if you have those 20, 30, 40-year-old cards, doing a new card, especially at the velocity you're talking about, is not going to really affect your credit score at all, which is a great thing to have. So I think maybe as you get towards the quote end game sort of thing, you can start to think about going faster. If you don't need to do those loans or anything like that, I think that would be something to think about. But I still think having a little bit of a roadmap is okay.
And what you said is I am at the end of the road here. I'm at the end game. So if I wanted certain cards, I think I would think twice about applying for the Virgin Atlantic card or the Fairwinds Visa Signature. I might not look at it the same way if there were cards I wanted, but I already have all the cards I want. There are no cards out there that I'm really ooh, I really have to have that because that's so much different than the other 3 or 4 cards just like it. No,
but does that make you sad though, that there's not a card that you want? Or is that okay?
No, it doesn't make me sad because I have this, the Chase Sapphire Reserve, the Venture X, and a Platinum card. And most would argue, hey, you don't need all 3 of those cards. And I don't. But we're in this game and we make content and we do all this. I have to have some hands-on experience with it, with a lot of stuff, not just everything. So I know I overspend on annual fees and I know I have too many credit cards, but it's part of this journey I'm on. And like I said, I have my reasons why I don't want to travel every month. I don't. But I seem like I do because I have a mission that it has to get done. And I have to go to these different places for different reasons. Like I've talked about a million times, I have to take my son to as many different countries and to be around as many different people as possible so I can make a complete human. It's a culturally complete human being. We live in a rural farming village. He's not getting that experience here. So I have to add some extra experiences. And I know not everybody needs to do that. And we're going to get more into that, traveling and locations and stuff in this next one, which I know you're interested in, but I want to get some of these guys' opinions.
Absolutely.
Cesar doesn't do the roadmaps.
Oh, Cesar
for the next trip. Yeah. And Cesar's a big
also
deal.
He's also more towards your age as well. So he also has a very solid credit score, credit history. And so I think he is also in that same boat as you, which I totally get. Also, he knows what he's doing. So that's really good too.
T says, I definitely think focusing on maximizing multipliers comes first. That's debatable. That's a good debate. Even if binging pace if possible. Got all the main cards in a few months, then after I worry about 524 to churn bonuses. Well, you brought up a couple, focusing on multipliers. A lot of people will say it's pointless because they can't even come close to bonuses and your overall spending. And here's just an example. If you push $100,000 through credit cards this year, your multipliers may not matter at all. It may be
depends on which credit card.
10% difference. Yeah. It might be a 10% difference if you're getting 10 bonuses. But we can all agree we want our core set in case things change and in case the train jumps off the rails. We want that core setup. So
yeah, I think that's what he's referring to.
I don't know much about credit banks, how much credit bank will give me. So let me cherry pick my cards and bonuses. Yeah, I mean, none of us are not cherry picking. I mean, every one of us picks the cards. And I like this one. Mr. Potato says, if you don't have any loans, or you're just now, see, I don't know if I'm just starting. I think just starting off, I'm going to be a lot more conservative, because especially if you're, like I said, if you're 23, 24 years old and you're like, I don't have any responsibilities, I'm going to blow through these cards. And then you meet the love of your life and she wants to buy a house in the suburbs and buy a minivan and you get her pregnant. Things change really quick when you're young. They don't change as quick when you're an old man.
That got real quick, real fast.
Hey, I bet half these guys in here
fast,
like, yeah,
right?
That's what happened to me. Guys, we have 184 people in the chat, which is really good. Slap that like button. And again, myself and Stan, we absolutely appreciate every single one of you here. Here we go.
Absolutely. And if we can make this better for you in any way, shape, or form, just let us know. We're always happy to make things better and improve so you have a better viewing experience.
100%. Longtime channel friend of the channel, Platinum OG, is year 3 of 12 plus cards per year. He is blowing through it. I'm a fan. Stan, not exactly as much.
So the thing with him though is that's good, but it's 12 plus cards per year for 3 people.
Right.
So then it becomes 4 cards a year, which actually is what I typically do, is 4 to 6 cards a year is what I'm targeting. So that's reasonable. 12 cards a year by yourself. That's like Filmo style, like velocity, you know?
And just so I can be transparent, I'm not an authorized user on any cards. My wife has her own setup, and coincidentally, I keep her on a very conservative, slow trajectory with new cards. Very slow, very conservative, only the ones she needs, nothing just for the bonus. And I do the opposite. So I do understand that side of things. Daniel says his roadmap is a list of cards in my notes app. Yeah. I think the next side up bonus crazed and took over. Yeah, so that is a roadmap. It's just it's kind of a combo of both these stuff. Like my roadmap is to blow through this 9 cards.
Yeah, sometimes the roadmap is going to be the velocity, like you said.
Yeah. And most of the people in this game are smart enough to know when they can do that, when they shouldn't do it. There's not a bunch of dummies in this space. And I agree with this. Business cards are 100% the secret sauce. And I know there's been some controversy lately whether some folks should be applying for business cards, but I do. I enjoy business cards. I do think they are the secret sauce or next level, or the I think they're awesome.
Nice.
And I have went months without applying for a personal card.
Yeah. I think we got a super chat down on the bottom there, Luke. Address that one.
Where are we at here? Well, here we go. G. What's up, G? Have any of you stayed at Waldorf in Maui? No, I've never been to Maui. I want to say that I almost booked it, and I'm going to Hawaii next summer, and I have kind of looked at that, but might be a little too expensive for what I'm doing. I'm trying to bring 10 people. So sorry, G. We appreciate the super chat. Absolutely. But never been there, man. I can tell you who has. Either. I want to say Sean from the BS podcast has been there. I don't know anybody else.
Yeah, not me.
Dom, I have not looked at the AOD card yet. I looked it up and I didn't find it right away, and something else came up. So I'm still trying to find that and look for it. Okay, here we go. Luke, when you retire, will you or do you plan to live abroad? I have an 8-year-old boy, so he's not going to live abroad. He's going to be raised in small town, middle America, and experience things outside there. So I don't have the option to live abroad somewhere. If things were different, well, see, first off, retiring for me doesn't mean retiring. It means I get a pension and I go do something else. So I wouldn't actually, I'm not ever going to retire and go fishing. You know, I'm always going to be doing something. But what I like to do, well, we'll see, because I have looked at properties in southern Spain. South of France has a lot of affordable apartments. So it's stuff I've looked at, but no concrete plans. And I'm probably not going to be able to retire this year. It's just like a pipe dream my wife brought up. And you get accepted for a Chase Sapphire with high utilization, even though other stats are in good standing. I don't know if we can answer that. Chase is not particularly difficult to get cards with if you're under 524, but high utilization is not really a good thing for any issuer. I mean, that's a pretty significant part of your credit report. And most of the guys you're going to talk to that make videos on credit cards, we don't have any utilization. We report maybe 1% and then pay it off. So I don't know if here's my thing. If you have high utilization on credit cards, I wouldn't get more credit cards. I pay those off.
You can also do the AZO method, which I like to do before a credit card application, is all zero except one. So you just keep one with a small balance and pay off everyone else. That will really help with just that 1 month. Of course, that's only if you're not carrying a balance, but you probably shouldn't be carrying a balance anyways. But that would be one way to get around the high utilization area, because that's a very easy thing to improve when you're applying for a credit card if you have a roadmap. Also, I think there's a super chat by Mr. Filmo down the bottom too.
Where are we at here? Oh wow, yes sir. Filmo hit us with the $2 spot. Filmo style is the way to live credit card life. Yep. Filmo is a good friend of a lot of different channels. He's a good dude. Appreciate the super chat. Absolutely. PJ Chair. Is this Paul Joel? I don't know. He's going to Turkey in May. If that's Paul Joel, then you're going to love it.
Turkey's delicious.
Yeah, it is. We got JP.
My boy
Mallard.
JP.
Yeah.
All right. Good to see you, man.
If you want a channel that no BS gets you the hardcore ins and outs of big time redemptions, check out JP's. Great channel. Great dude. Just a bill. Luke, you got great spend if you're hitting sign-up bonuses for that many cards in 1 year. Yeah, I don't know if that's a blessing or a curse, but I do have a lot of spend. And there's techniques to manipulate that as well. Maybe if you join the members, you'll get some insights on how to maybe generate a little bit of extra spend, some techniques that probably aren't appropriate for public YouTube, but they're still out there. And I don't do a lot of those things, but I do want to talk about some of that sometime on my members only videos. All right, Stan, are you ready for this next round? Here, let's let JP. I want to hear JP.
Let's do one more. Yeah.
Roadmaps work for most because most people have a goal of a trip they wish to take. If your goal is to take any cool trip when you can, Luke's way is better, but most people don't think that way for trips. Okay, well, that is pretty much going to lead us into this next one. And our next, yeah, great. We got lucky. Let me see here. Let me make sure. All right. So our next topic, guys, very close to what JP was talking about, letting the tail wag the dog. Now, I will explain what I mean by that. And this was a topic on my second members only video. And a lot of people did not agree with this. And a lot of people did not like this philosophy whatsoever. But my feeling and my philosophy on credit card points and miles travel is this. I don't necessarily go to the exact place I want to go on the exact date. And a lot of people will take a lot of pride in saying, I am going to Koh Samui on June 20th, no matter what it costs, no matter how I'm going to get there, that's what I'm doing. And I think that's great. But this is how I do most of my travel and almost all of my travel. And I'm going to use this next trip as an example. I have to follow the school calendar for family trips, obviously, like so many of us do. Well, Charles has a week off for spring break. So obviously I want to go somewhere, right? And I want to go somewhere. How I do buy business, the best thing for me is to go somewhere for that 5 days he's off. So he has a weekend before and a weekend after to get stuff done. So that 5 days I want to go somewhere. Now, I know there's somebody out there that says, I have to go to Vienna, Austria, and I have to stay at this place across the street from the symphony. And that's what and I don't think anything like that. So when I sit down and I say, hey, we need to go somewhere for spring break, first thing I'm thinking is Aruba, Mexico, beaches. But I also don't really want to be around a bunch of college kids. So the second thing I think of is, let's just open up my options and see what kind of deal is out there. I picked Portugal, and this is why. Is Portugal on my list of going places? It might be. It's on there somewhere. It's not super high, but it's cool. Portugal's a cool place, I'm assuming. But there's also a sweet spot from Boston to Portugal that gets me an incredible deal on my points and miles. So I'm going to Portugal. Now I don't want to put words in Stan's mouth, but that's how I do my redemptions. I will do them generally, and this is my example. Instead of Vienna, Austria on June 17th, across the street from the symphony, this is how I think of it. I want to take a summer trip to Europe, and I can even break it down Western, Central, or Eastern Europe sometime during the summer. And whether that's Vienna, Austria, or Prague, Czech Republic, or Paris, France, I'm going to find the best deal and go there. And it really is because I don't really need to be super specific on where I go. I just want the experience, and I want to go somewhere where I get a great deal. And in my opinion, that opens me up to places where I might not otherwise have went in the first place. And we'll let Stan give his opinion on that. And I have a couple what I think are pretty good points to back that up, but I'll go ahead and let him. Does that sound like a pretty good summary of that video?
Yeah, it's a very good summary. So yeah,
and I let the tail wag the dog.
Yes, you do let the tail wag the dog. And so I like to wag my own tail as kind of the next step in this. So, I think you're right in that, I'm all about getting the best redemption possible. I think that's what we all want to get in general. And as we all know in the point and miles game, there's going to be ways to get better redemptions than others, right? And so one of them would be essentially like, booking things early when they first come out versus getting a deal when you search some kind of search site. The issue I have with that is a lot of people, including myself, when we have a limited amount of days to go on a trip, especially international trip, we want to go to a certain place, right? And so let's, for example, say I want to go to Japan, very popular tourist destination. I went there recently, very great place to go. I really want to go to Japan. I don't want to go to another place in Asia. I want to go to Japan. Not saying that I'll never go to places in Asia. I just would like, if I were to go to one place in the year, I'd like to go to Japan because I really want to do that. So then the question becomes, how do you get that best redemption in that area? And so when you do your bookings, you look for things around the area. You want to make sure you're flexible with your dates, and that's obviously something important to do. But I don't really want to change my destination based off the points. Now, I will change things like the dates I'm going if I can to get a better cent per point. But if I'm only stuck within like for a spring break or summer break or whatever the date restriction is, I think that is something you just have to do. And you could go somewhere else for cheaper, like Korea, China, Taiwan, Thailand, for cheaper if you look around. But if that's not what you want to do, like, I don't think it's worth doing it at that moment, maybe in the future. That's the position that I think that I'm coming from. It's just, if I want to do something, if I want to buy something, I want to redeem a point for something, I want to travel somewhere, I want to be in control of what I'm doing, not the other way around. Having said that, I may not get the best cent point redemption, but at least it was something that I wanted to do because I decided consciously that I wanted to do that particular redemption.
Yeah, and I totally agree with that mindset, and I think it's a more popular mindset. And here's a couple of reasons why I think, at least for me, and I get it's just for me, that it might be a little superior. And this is, I'm trying to learn how to say this without sounding ignorant. I do want to go to Japan, and I think I absolutely want to go to Japan. However, if I have If my son has June off from school and I'm looking at a window where there's no baseball games, there's no flag football games, and I see this window where we can possibly go. And Seoul, Korea is 50% less points and miles than Tokyo, Japan. It's not even a question. I'm not trying to say that those are the same places. I understand they're completely different. But for me, and this is how I see it, I want to go to Japan, I want to go to Vietnam, and I want to go to Korea. So in the beginning of June 2025, when I can go somewhere, I'm going to the best deal because I'm probably going to go next year to the other one. So it's not that I'm not going to go to Tokyo or not going to go to Japan, but I'm going to go to that cheaper place. And here's why. And I know people get really passionate or sensitive, either depending on who they are, about cents per point. And I know we've argued about it, not argued, but we talked about it till people are tired of it. But let me give you a different way of looking at the cents per point debate. I don't care what that number is, but look at it this way. Choosing Seoul, Korea instead of Tokyo, I can now go on another trip with the same amount of points and miles. Or let's say I go to Vietnam instead of Tokyo. I can go on a whole other trip by compromising that. And I get some people are not in this to compromise, but I do travel a lot compared to a normal person. So it's not that big of a deal to make Tokyo next year and not this year. And I got an example, just this Portugal thing. There is a sweet spot from Boston to Portugal. Now I could have went to Iceland. We all my whole family wants to go to Iceland, but for spring break, it was extremely expensive. Now, if we were more rigid, more focused on Iceland, we're going to say, I don't care what it costs. We're going to Iceland, boys. But taking Portugal, which is on the list somewhere, I'm not saying it's super high, but Portugal seems really cool. But I'm going to Portugal for on Tap Air Portugal from Boston for 50,000 points each person each way. And to come back to the first thing, I got most, and they're Avianca Life miles. And I got those miles by getting the stupid Avianca Life miles credit card. So, which nobody else has. So you turn both of these things into how I do this business, and 50,000 points each way to Europe in business class, lie flat, all that good stuff. That's a really good, not the best deal in the world, but that's a really good deal. If I wanted to be strict and rigid to go to Iceland, I'm not getting any deal like that. And I'm going to have to earn more points, find more points, or I'm going to have to sacrifice future trips. And again, I'm almost a little bit envious of people who can say, "No, I'm going to Tokyo on June 1st." I'm really envious of that because I really can't do that. And another thing is, depending on your income, depending on your ability to generate these points and miles, it really affects how good it feels to get home from this trip and looking about how much it cost. So if you get home and said, I had a great time, but golly, it cost me 400,000 transferable points. Or you come back and you say, man, I never thought Portugal would be this cool. And it only cost me 50,000 points. So that's a factor for me. And I know it's not a factor for a lot of people. And it's probably less of a factor the least amount of trips you do. But that's my philosophy with the traveling. And I'll give you another point that really made sense for me. I'm somebody who I don't believe I ever considered going to the Middle East for anything. That didn't even float my mind. But then I read an article about how I could get to Dubai for 70,000 American Airlines miles. And I said, I'm going to go get some American Airlines miles. And I went to Dubai with my Navy buddy, and it blew my mind. It completely blew my mind because that's not how I saw the Middle East. So by having those points wagging the dog, or the points dictating my trip, it gave me some powerful experiences that I probably wouldn't have otherwise done. And just like Tokyo is the same way, 60,000 American Airlines miles to Tokyo. I've had that darn trip booked 3 times and haven't went. So, if that makes any sense, that's why I kind of let those points dictate it. And it also comes down to this. I just want to go travel. I just want to go somewhere cool. To me, Tokyo is an aspirational location I want to go to, but it's not exponentially higher on the list than Saigon or Seoul. It's not. Those are all kind of, to put it in perspective, I'm a Midwestern small town kid. To touch my foot down in Saigon is a significant thing for somebody of my generation to do, because all the men that I grew up with had been there for different reasons.
Mm.
So it's just a huge cultural significant thing to do. But I'll go when it's a good deal, because there's so many other places to go. And I don't know if that makes sense to a lot of people, because like I said, your philosophy is a lot more popular. But and the cent per point thing, I would love to just beat that to death. But the more thing, who cares what the cent per point? Who cares if it's 1.6 or 3.5? I can go on 3 of these trips if I'm flexible, versus 1 if I'm strict about it. And that's the name of the game for me.
Yeah, and you make very good points with what you just said there. And I think one of the things that we all have to respect, and I respect a lot about you, is your ability to be very flexible in where you want to go and be very open-minded to the places that you travel to. I think it's a really great way to be, a really great way to think, because like you said, it opens up these doors that you never thought were there. And it really opens up your mind to these new geographical and different cultural destinations that you may not have ever experienced before. So I think from that perspective, I really, really like the way you described that. One thing I do want to mention, though, is that, if you have a place you want to go, and I know you know this already, but if you have a certain place to go, if you plan ahead for that, that can get you a better cent per point instead of having to, I don't want to say scramble, but you are looking for a good deal. So, what you could use to help you get there is a roadmap. So if you have a roadmap to a certain destination, that would be very helpful to get the best cent per point calculation there. Having said that, there's always sales, like, month before, week before sales that they kind of pop up. Also, it's easier to do this when you're like a single person versus a couple versus a family. That's also a big part of that too. You have a unique scenario where you should take your family with you when you go travel. And so that's going to also, yeah. So that's something that you have to think about as well. I think with the tail wagging the dog, it's just for the person like myself who travels infrequently, should travel more, should open their mind to more cultures, to more areas to explore, but doesn't have the time or is not really the right time at this point in my life. I think doing it in a way where you get to choose what you want to do is very powerful. It kind of goes back to where I talked about with the Amex offers and Chase offers, where there are these offers that are on sale and you do get a good deal, but do you really need that? And did you really want to buy that in the first place? Maybe you didn't want to. Maybe you just, it's like a really good deal. And so I'm just going to take that. And so that's another kind of way to look at it too, is that I just like being in control of what I'm spending on and what I'm doing. Kind of like also rotating category cards where the bank chooses the category for you. Good deal, but they choose it for you. But you're not in control of the spending on that card. So I don't like that either. But I can see both sides of the argument too.
One thing that clicked in my brain when you said that, and I agree, the Amex offers are a really good kind of parallel example. But this is what I heard when you said that. Let's say there's a Amex offer. Okay, let's say time to go out to eat, guys. We're all going out to eat. There's 3 of us. Where I live, I'm not a fine dining guy, so where we eat, they're probably going to be comparably priced. Let's just say, but there's an Amex offer for a place called Smoky Bones. They've got some barbecue and stuff like that. And it's 20, or I don't know. It's an Amex offer. So I don't really care where I'm going to eat tonight. So I'm probably going to go to Smoky Bones. Not always, but if what do I care? Everybody has a cheeseburger, sure. So if Amex offers or if we're saying, hey, where do you want to eat? Your player 2 always says, I don't care. So then I go,
true story.
Well, Chase has an offer to the Olive Garden. Oh, okay. That's almost the same thing I do with my travel, because I don't want to say I don't care where I go. I guess what I mean is I want to go everywhere. So I don't really care the order. I do. I don't want to go hike Himalaya mountains when I'm 90, but for the most part,
Sure.
as long as I can get around, just like in January, I went to Lima. Why did I go to Lima? I can't tell you why. The one
Mm.
reason was I got a really good deal on Alaskan Airlines miles to go to a place where I never imagined I'd go. Lima's not on my list. I had a great time. I'm so glad I went. I
Mm.
learned so
You
much
did.
about South America. I
Mm.
learned so much about, I learned how ignorant I was about that entire part of the world. So
Mhm.
letting the points dictate the travel is, so far it's making me a more complete human. It,
Yeah.
maybe it maybe not the best way to do things, but it's really not a bad way so far.
Yeah.
And
And
I'm
I
really
also
thinking
like
of
the
Portugal.
idea. I would like the idea too, where you're talking about how you can go to 3 places instead of 1.
Mm,
So, I did spend a lot of points on my honeymoon redemption. I don't regret that at all, by the way. But,
true.
if I tried to do a little bit better with the central point, I could have gone to multiple places in the future. Right. And so I
Yeah.
think that's also very powerful to say the way you do it, trying to be more flexible with the points, trying to be more flexible where you're going. That's something that is to be considered as well. And so that also fits into your style of travel, though, which is to get as many opportunities and experiences as
Yeah.
possible.
And I'm not 100% on this. And here's an example. Mama wants to go to Italy this summer. So guess where we're going? There's there's no flexibility with that. Mama gets to
Germany?
go to
Germany?
yeah,
No?
yeah. It's a, hey, wife. Instead of Italy, what do you think about England? I want to go to Italy. Italy it is. So and I
Hmm.
can tell you from the experience, eh, Italy doesn't sound like it's a hard trip to book. It's oh, that's the most popular destination in the world. It's easy. It's not easy. It was tough.
Mm.
It gave me several headaches. So many headaches. Here's a funny anecdote. Sitting around the living room 2 days ago, my wife goes, "I don't see my uh, flight to New York to go to the positioning flight. I don't see a positioning flight here." And I'm like, "Hmm. I didn't book her or Charlie's positioning flight." So so there's so many moving parts, and I do this so often.
Oh,
I had to
no.
go, "Well, shoot, you gotta get to New York to get to Italy, so let me." So I had to go, and I'm glad she noticed it. So it's
Hmm.
it's such to do
That'd be
everything
good.
exact, it's harder,
Mhm.
it's a pain in the butt. Now, is that gonna now I'll give you I'll give you some ammo here. Her going exactly where she wants to go, the time of year she wants to do it with her family, is that gonna be just the most awesome thing in the world for her? Yes. My headache, she'll love it.
Yeah.
But at the
Well,
same
I'm glad you
time,
found that flight. That's a big one.
yeah, yeah, I think I did that in, like, the Chase portal. So uh, I'm glad because we have to fly it. And this is what also is being strict and a family of 3. This is what I had to do. I have to leave a day before they do because there's
Hmm.
only 2 award flights on. We wanted to go direct from North America. So in order to do that, when we can leave, I had to fly out a day early. Another pain in the
Mm.
butt. Kind of sucks.
Yeah.
Um, but I think at the end of the day, for her, it's going to be exactly what she wants. And if you're a person that wants to do exactly what they want, then you can't go wrong that way. Me, like I said, I just don't care. Like
Mhm. Yeah.
and let's say a beach vacation. Hey, we want to go to a beach vacation in August before Charles goes back to school. Gotcha. Beach vacation. Don't tell me you have to go to
Mhm.
Aruba. Don't tell me you have to go to the U.S. Virgin Islands. Tell me you have to go to a beach vacation because we're going back to Grand Cayman, the Kimpton Seafire Resort, because I know that
Yeah.
redemption. I know it's easy, and we're going to bring my wife's youngest daughter. So we're going to bring some extra people there. That's easy, but it's so beach vacation or Aruba. It, it
Sure.
beach vacation is way easier, and I can get what I want, which is the deal.
Mhm. Yeah. Well,
So
that's great that you can do that for your family, and everyone has a different mindset. So I think it's just a matter of what mindset do you have. Is it
yeah,
more
I'm
flexible? Is
jealous
it more
of
rigid? And so
yeah. I'm jealous of people who say, no, we're going to, we're hitting Oslo, Norway to watch the Northern Lights on Christmas Eve. And that's what we're doing. That's awesome.
Yeah.
So like I said, I think we have different ways of doing things, but we're both doing stuff that we really enjoy, and we're really getting the banks subsidize our joy.
Absolutely.
They're giving us a bunch of money to do this. I don't see. Let me see. Let's go through some.
We just got a super chat from Mr. Xavier.
Oh, X-Man. Thank you, sir. And no question. All right, X-Man. We appreciate it. Absolutely. Let's go through some comments and see what others think about. With family, school is always an issue in planning booking trips. Yeah, and it's just one of the factors. Like I do solo trips, and even then, when I do a solo trip, I want to make sure I'm not missing anything, or it's a convenient time for me to not be there. Which I'm telling you, it's like when my wife went on her solo trip, it's a pain in the ass. It sucks not having her there. She does a lot of stuff. I have to bid all my vacation days a year in advance for work. Yeah, that's tough, man.
Yep.
Lots of school calendar. Yeah. And everybody will tell you the more flexible you are, the better deal you can get. And you're never going to get away from that. So
that's what I'm saying is that Chase Sapphire Reserve is just such a clutch card for families that want to travel, just because it takes all the complexity out of the equation for that base 1.5x redemption on the Chase Travel Portal. So definitely good that you're doing that, Alpha Taylor.
Or the Fairwinds Credit Union Visa Signature.
That's right. That's right. That new card you just got.
US Bar helps with wagging the tail since that limited same philosophy as what you were saying. The same floor value. And those cards are great for domestic flights and domestic travel. Not as great for international business class. You're not going to do the Singapore Airlines to Thailand with a CSR.
Yep.
Cesar, my man, flexible with destination and date, just like me. It's like I'll take the deal and have a great time. I'm retired, so easier. And yeah, he's retired U.S. Army. Thank you for your service, Cesar. You deserve all that flexibility.
Absolutely.
Oh, here's Filmo says he based entire trips around a great flight deal. And I think the big thing is if you're going to do 6 trips, then you can be a lot more flexible. If you're only going to do one big one, you do want to go exactly where you want to go.
Yeah.
Luke, you need to read the book Die with Zero by Bill Perkins. I can't die with zero because I want my son to at least start on second base. I have a question for you guys.
Good man.
Maybe not you, Stan, because you seem that you might. Well, we'll just see. If you did not have to work for money, if and for some of us that means at 18 when you got thrown out of the house, you didn't have to take that crap job. If you didn't have to work for money, what would you be doing, and how much different would you be as a person? What I mean by that is my personal situation. I had to go work for a place to live as an 18-year-old. So I had to join the Navy. What if I didn't have to join the Navy to have a place to live? I could have done whatever I wanted. How much different would my life be? Or, like how much different if you said, hey, I want to help you do whatever you want. I'm going to assist you in accomplishing all these. How much different would your life be now? So that's another thing I want to do with my son. I want him to have as many options as possible. I don't know if that makes any sense at all, but I always wonder, like, what would I be doing? I didn't have to take. I've only had a couple crappy jobs. I've only had a couple jobs, but if I didn't have to take those crappy jobs, what would I be doing right now? So it's I don't know how I got. Oh yeah, I can't die with zero.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I would just say this: what doesn't kill you make you stronger.
Sure. Yeah.
Right. And so everything that you've gone through in your younger years when you had to work for money or do things you didn't want to do, it makes you stronger at the end.
Yeah, absolutely. Cardi got married in Japan just before the pandemic. Highly recommend.
Awesome.
Yeah, that's awesome. And yeah, you're right. It's a good time to go to Japan. My problem with Japan, though, it's very tough because I only have one. My summer trip is the only one that can be long enough to go. Like, it's really hard to go to Japan for 4 days. That's really tough.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Rodrigo, he has the Avianca Life Miles card. Yeah, it's an underrated card. I'm gonna do another video on it pretty soon, but I think it's a really underrated card for people that are flexible. Eat at those pastel de natas. Yeah, they got Portugal's a food place from everything I've gathered. Have to work around school closures too. So I really get where Luke is coming from. I know school closings. Yeah, the school closes. Yeah, and Kay doesn't worry about cents per point. Now I know a lot of people don't like, and I do have some harsh opinions on the cents per point debate. And I do really truly believe that the people who don't care about cents per point are the ones that don't know how to get a lot of cents per point. They're like, oh, my brain hurts. I don't care about it anymore. I get it. And like I said, I mean, focus on earning income and more important things than spending 4 hours in your office looking for the best cents per point. It's kind of silly. JP says he went to Spain a couple years ago. He did it because of the deal, and it cost a round trip, including 200,000 points. Taking the deal can be a huge savings. Absolutely.
Definitely.
Yeah. See, JP, flying direct to Rome is a pain in the butt, man. They want you to pay. They want you to pay cash for that.
We got another super chat, by the way, in the bottom.
Uh-oh. Sam Gwen. I hope I said that right. I think I did.
Sunwin.
Sunwin. Okay. Staying at the Zimmy Beach house in Anguilla right now. Caribbean guy.
Awesome.
440,000 Hilton points. Man, I love the Hilton redemptions. I love the Hilton 5-night redemptions.
That's a great redemption. Hope you enjoy your time there.
Oh, man. Being in the Caribbean right now when it's kind of warm some places, but not really great. He's got sun. He's got, you got it made, son. Yeah. See, Cesar had to join the Army. I joined the Navy at 17. Had to get the hell out of there. Cesar gave my son and daughter a paid house, give them the best adult life they can start. Hope it works out. Yeah, you always have that, as a parent, you always have that creeping feeling, what if I'm doing too much? What if, I even had a conversation with a guy when I was in Lima. He was like an older Canadian guy, like a grandpa. And he was really well off. He was, you could tell when somebody's got everything squared away. And I said, hey, let me ask you a question. With your kids, since you seem to be pretty well off and pretty squared away, did you have to manufacture trauma to build resilience in your young kids? And dude knew exactly what I was saying, knew exactly what I meant by that. And it's an interesting conversation, man. They can have it too good, I think. All right, I'll read that, Alpha. I will read that for sure. All right, so what now we'll go to, I only have one or two questions that were from my community post, but we'll check those out. Stan, I appreciate the conversation, man. I do love hearing the other perspective of what I do, and really
absolutely, yeah. I'm happy to talk about things. I know that we approach the points and miles game very differently, but I think we're both winning in our own different ways. And there's not one. I don't want to say one way to skin a chicken. We'll say it that way, or I don't do skin chickens, but you know what I mean. There's more than one way to do a certain thing, right? So yeah, that's what I would say. And then so seeing the different ways to do it is just really educational for everybody, because I think you can take bits and pieces from either your strategy or my strategy and just make your own strategy about it too, which I think is really, really cool. And I know that I've done that, and I'm sure you've done that as well, as you've learned more and more when you were looking at the also game in general.
I like to hear your perspective, because there's going to come a time when Charles is older and we can't travel all the time. So if you cut it back and you say, Luke, you've only got a spring break trip and a summer trip, I'm going to move towards closer to what you're talking about. If I've only got one trip, I have to go exactly where I want. So right now I don't.
Yep.
Mr. Potato wants a wrist check. Dude, I have not been real. I haven't been switching things around. I've been doing the Tudor Pelagos. Let me see. In titanium, black, 42 millimeters. It's got 500 meters of water resistance because I dive so much. I'm constantly diving in the ocean out by my house in Ohio.
Nice. Of course.
me get one more comment. Luke Morgan's House Psychology of Money has a section that's very question of how growing up with money and without my might shape. Oh, that's I'm gonna write that down. And my man Dong Kim's in the house. The best name in
Hello,
the
Mr.
game.
Kim. Good to see you, man. So, by the way, congrats on that wallet winning you had with Anthony Venture's newsletter. That's very cool. I know I saw that post a little while ago. So,
Yeah,
congrats on that.
Psychology of Money. I think I've read excerpts from that, but not the whole thing. But definitely want to check that out. No strong correlation. Okay. Oh, here's the rest of it. Also, nice time to visit Japan. Get a wrist piece due to come. Yeah, Japan actually has the cool thing about buying watches in Japan is you can buy them on the secondary market, and from what I understand, the fakes are almost non-existent. They don't do that there, which is really cool.
Yeah. I also want to mention Nifty Ninja mentioned that those chickens are valuable right now. We need those eggs to don't skin them. You know what? Which is absolutely true because inflation is real. I was gonna say don't 2 weeks to skin a cat, but I feel like a lot of people like cats, so I don't want to offend anybody when I said that. But that's why I
don't like cats.
Chicken. Yeah. Okay. Well,
I like chickens way more than cats.
Okay. Yeah. Well, chicken skin is important too, so I like to eat that.
Yes. All right. So this question, actually, let me move this. There we go. This is a question that was on my community post. I think it's a good question. It's from Gen 512X. Are there any data points to suggest that credit unions are more forgiving when it comes to having too many recent inquiries on your credit report when applying for their credit cards? And Jens is going to be at the JW Marriott in Marquise, so he's living the high life. So what do you think, Stan? Are credit unions more forgiving or less forgiving when it comes to high inquiries and things like that?
Yeah, so I don't have any personal experience with credit union cards per se, but I have read about them and also other data points. And from my just thought, I would say that, because they want to get more customers just in general, I would say that their ability to approve you for a card is likely going to be easier if you have high inquiries as opposed to a traditional bank. That's what I would expect. But I know that every credit union, just like a bank, is going to be different based on who they are. But I know, Luke, that you also have some direct experience with credit unions. So what's your experience been like about that?
It's really varied, and I'm a huge fan of credit union credit cards. By the way, I don't know how many I have, but I have a lot of credit union credit cards, and I think they're a really good option for when you've exhausted your welcome with the bigger banks. But I think it's just different, and I also think there's a huge difference between, let's say, Navy Federal and PenFed, two giant credit unions, and maybe your local credit union that uses Elon Financial for their credit card program. I think if you're going the credit union route, I think your hack is to open a checking. I think it's to go in the branch if you can. I don't, but if I could, I would. I don't like people. So if you went in the bank branch, open a checking account, maybe you drop $500 on a certificate of deposit. They're probably going to offer you a credit card a lot of times. They want you, and they're going to want your direct deposit. I don't do direct deposit with credit unions, but a lot of times they'll give you your money Thursday or Wednesday. They'll give you your money early if that's important to you. But I've had it both ways, Stan. I've had PenFed will not give me a credit card with an over 800 credit score, no utilization, all on-time payments. They won't give me a credit card. But TradeWinds Credit Union in Florida, in Orlando, Florida, will. After 40 personal credit cards, they'll give me a card, no problem. So, I think it's different for everyone. But like if we go back, I'd say shoot your shot, risk it for the biscuit. If they have a card you want, go in there and open a checking account. Tell them, and a lot of them will even ask you, so why are you coming here? Well, I've heard you guys have nice people working here with good customer service, and you have a really good credit card, from what I hear. That's what I told I keep calling them TradeWinds, Fairwinds in Orlando. And then I go online and everybody says, I hate Fairwinds. They're so rude. They're so nasty. I'm like, well, maybe they've had enough of that. They just want somebody to be nice to them.
Well, you didn't see that until after you talked to them, so I think it's fun to say that.
Yeah. I don't know if there's any correlation, but I would say this: if I do like credit unions. I like doing business with credit unions. So if you see a product they have, go for it. Alpha says he uses NFC for direct deposit, and they float my the paycheck during the government shutdowns. That's good. That's good. Thoughts? Oh, here you go. This is for you, Stan. I thoughts on choice at 1-to-2 ratio. I stayed at Comfort Suites Atlantis, Bahamas. Had a good experience, but I'm iffy about going to other. I'm not familiar with Comfort Suites Atlantis, Bahamas, but I mean, I'll take that. I have done one choice redemption, and I've seen a lot of really good choice redemptions in Latin America. I'm not probably going to stay at a Roadway Inn or what. Like, I'm not going to stay at that whole list of really lower level choice hotels. I wouldn't even consider that. But you can stay at a Radisson, you can stay at a Cambria or an Ascend Collection. Choice at 1-to-2, you start getting into Hyatt type value, Hyatt type cents per point. I don't know if it's the same value because, but the higher end choice hotels at a transfer of 1-to-2, you're probably getting a great deal. I haven't stayed at a bunch, but would I stay at the choice hotels I've seen in Latin America? Yes, every time. Love them. They're great. You can get like a president in Panama City. You can get like a presidential suite with like 1,800 square feet for like 30,000 choice points. It's like,
that's crazy.
It's not the best. It's not the best part of town, but you're there for the experience. So
yeah I think the choice is a good network of properties. Not as big as the other ones, but if you like do a lot of road tripping, you go to these small towns, definitely worth checking out. I mean, I think it's a City and Wells Fargo that gets 1-to-2 on choice. I can't remember. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So there's a lot of options. So if you feel like you have a place to go that has a good choice, hotel, and you want to try it out, by all means. You never know until you try. It's really what it's all about.
Stan, Son just hit us with another 5-piece.
Oh,
he is feeling generous today.
Awesome.
He's got a question for you.
Okay. So he says, JW Marriott at St. Martin and Westin Bora Bora has wide open award availability for round 75 to 85K Marriott points. That's awesome. So that are two great properties. I love the Westins. I love JW Marriott. Marriott obviously is a big player in kind of my points and mile strategy. And it's nice that it's actually under 85K points because, as you know, those free night certificates you get from the Brilliant and the Ritz-Carlton gets you that 85K FNC. So you could use one of those for that. And that sounds like an amazing time. So gotta check it out. But, I didn't do if I didn't have a roadmap for this. So I'm going to have to figure that one out because I'll have to pull an Uncle Luke here and see if I can find a little quick flight to Bora Bora or St. Martin.
Well, if it makes you feel any better, I don't have a roadmap and I have those Marriott points. I could go tomorrow.
There you go. Maybe this question is more for you than it's for me.
Well, what is tomorrow? I know I have something to do tomorrow, so I can't go tomorrow. But I would love to go to Westin Bora Bora. St. Martin. Oh, yeah. Heck yeah, man. So Son gave us some money and some news flash. So he is a valuable member of the community.
Right. Thank you, Son. Thank you so much.
Rodrigo had the Redstone Visa on its roadmap, and they closed it. They geofenced it. In that case, my roadmap failed me. I do have with the Redstone Federal Credit Union, I did see so many people put that in their roadmap, and your Uncle Luke just applied for it. And as it stands today, those people with it on their roadmaps, they don't have it. Your Uncle Luke does have it. It's 5% cash back.
Great
5% cash back on gas, dining, 3% on groceries, 3% on something else. It's amazing. It's great. And they're so nice. They are like they're from, was it Northern Alabama? They're really nice people.
Oh, that's nice.
Where are we at here? Oh, you know what? I did. Guys, if you subscribe to the channel memberships, and I thought I saw a couple people do it, and we were kind of in mid conversation, so I didn't mention you. Here we go. Jake T is a new YouTube member. I don't know if that means a channel member or not. It does, doesn't it?
Channel member, yep.
Okay, awesome, Jake T. Appreciate you. I think there was another one. Well, maybe not. Maybe it was
Down
just
here.
that
I
one.
think it was Mr. G down here. We'll see it.
Okay. It's guys, it's difficult for me to run this machine here. I'm more of a talker than than any kind of a skilled machinist or anything. There we go. Mr. G. Mr. G became a YouTube member. Appreciate you two guys. Absolutely. Oh, what was that? Okay, that's Xavier. So let me see. If you look at comments, see you on a credit union, doctor credit, you always tell their inquiry sense. Oh, so if you do have that question about which credit unions are inquiry sensitive, Doctor of Credit is a great tool to kind of get some ideas about that.
Mhm.
Doctor of Credit is a super great tool for those of you who want to keep up on the latest news. And I know some people that's their bread and butter. What's going on right now? Stan, you seem like you're maybe not as much focused on exactly what's going on right now. You've got your plans and kind of ride the
Yeah.
waves.
Yeah, I like to. It's just, it does take some time to get all the news because there's always so much news coming in. So I'm happy to have other content creators go ahead and do that
Yeah.
instead because I actually get a lot of that news from other people that do the news. So that's really great. And Dr. Credit's great. They have a lot of data points. That's the biggest one
Yes.
that I would say from him, just based off of certain like data points on approvals versus like what Tom is saying here about which banks are inquiry sensitive, which bank account bonuses accept direct deposit from certain avenues. Those are like very, very helpful data points to really compile together. I think he does a really good job on that website, just doing all that stuff.
And if you're like me, they give you the news on all the no lifetime language offers from Amex. And your Uncle Luke does not turn down any lifetime language offers. I get those jokers. All right, Stan, we are at
Awesome.
1 hour and 46 minutes. We did want to wrap this up in 2 hours. So did you have anything else you wanted to add? And I know we want to give people a few minutes to ask their last minute questions and stuff, but what do you think? What did you guys think that the debate, civil debate, did it give you a better idea on each perspective? And did you find yourself leaning exactly to one side or somewhere in the middle? I got a feeling
that's what
that
we want to know for sure. Yeah, it's a good question. We want to see kind of what you guys thought. You know, did you feel like there was a right answer? Did you not feel there was a right answer? Did you, again, like Luke said, did you find yourself leaning towards one side versus the other? There were two really good topics, both from Luke's membership, videos. And so if you are a new member, that's great. You'll see the upcoming members only videos as well. So happy for those of you who joined Luke's channel.
And again, those videos are probably going to get a little spicy at some point, a little bit of insider information. I'm trying to put the things on those videos that are not a good idea to make public for different kinds of reasons. Like I made a statement on one of my members videos the other day about, I think credit card YouTubers are becoming a little irresponsible with the information they're putting out. And I don't think all this information needs to be out there publicly. So I want to make some of that sensitive stuff, I don't want to say behind a paywall, but I don't want it to be public for everyone.
Sure.
This is a good one for Stan right here. You think the Amex is going to refresh the green?
I think it's definitely due for a refresh. As we all know, the Surpass got refreshed to a $150 annual fee. The Amex Green does seem like a mid-tier card as well. I don't know if it will get to the $325 status of the gold, or will they make this new $250 situation or $199 or something like that. But it depends on what you're looking for, right? I think the green card is a good starter card, and they're positioning it at that the same way too, because it is that gateway into the charge card ladder, green, gold, platinum. You need a good transit parking card, but do you need to use the Amex card to do so? Because there are plenty of other cards with the 3X transit category that you could use that doesn't cost $150. One of them, I believe, is the Wells Fargo Autograph. That's a good one. I don't believe the City Premier Starter Premier card has transit, if I remember correctly.
I don't think so. No.
Yeah. So that's not one. You also have any of the Chase cards that have 3X. So the Ink Preferred is $95. It's a 3X travel, which does include transit. So that's an option. Also, there's a Sapphire Reserve, obviously the much higher annual fee at $550, but that also gets you that 3X travel multiplier. Also, Bank of America has a great travel multiplier as well, very broad. If you want to get a customized cash rewards card, that's 3x on travel for up to $2,100 per quarter, and that includes the transit category. And then if you have the preferred reward system, that can go up to 5.25% too. So there's a lot of options to choose from. But to answer your question, they're definitely going to refresh it. I think it's probably going to be this year or next year.
Yeah, I agree. And they're going to refresh it. But one thing I would say about the green card is I think it's a pretty underrated card. I think we've already established the fact that most of us are willing to pay $100 a year to have transferable currencies and transfer partners. I think that really changes the game. This one's $150. I do value the clear credit a bit, and I also still value American Express as a partner. I think the customer service is still tip top, so I think it's worth it now, and I'm really excited to see what they do with it. I'm really excited to see how much they mess it up. So we'll see. I'm not.
They've got a track record for that.
Yeah, and here's the good thing. My optimistic thought: if they raise the price but just add a Resi credit, and I know credits, Resi credit seems to be the easiest to put up with. So if that's what they do, I'm excited. I like the Catch. Appreciate the way you both respected one another and delivered your points calmly. Yeah, this is credit card stuff, man. Like it doesn't. It might be more entertaining to yell and scream and call each other names, but I think most of you guys that know myself and Stan, you're here for the information. Mm-hmm. You're not really here for the antics and the yelling and the coking and smoking and laughing and stuff. So I think you're here for the content, and I think it'll be delivered that. Tio, what's up, Tio? Pura Vida. Stay at the 2 preferred properties using choice points in Rome. Stay at the Clarion. And that's the other thing, man. And Barcelona. The Choice has those preferred properties. Choice is coming up. Guys, here's what I'll say. Keep your eye on the Choice program, because as long as that 2-for-1 deal is still there, Choice is making moves, and you can laugh at it all you want. You can discount them all you want. You can sit on your globalist high horse all you want, but Choice is making moves. Choice is getting better. Can you say the same for Hyatt? As good as they are they getting better?
That's a good question. That's a good question, especially right now at this point in time.
Yeah. And again, this time next year and the year after that. Strategy belief is ultimately, or at least largely, defined by how much spend you have and the ability to travel. Sure. And you're right. Yeah.
I agree with that.
I agree.
Yeah.
Cesar, my man, says, great live, mis hermanos. Do it Luke style. But I can definitely see the value and approach Stan has. Absolutely, man.
Great. I appreciate that, Mr. Cesar.
Oh, here's a real question. One place, city, or country in Europe to visit other than Ireland and Germany.
You go first.
I'm just gonna throw out the next one that's the highest on my list. Krakow, Poland. It's the highest on my list right now.
Okay. You know, I actually have never been to Western Europe, which is, I think I need to fix that relatively soon. So I would say for me, it'd be Paris, France. I'd love to go to Paris and see what that looks like. I went on a cruise with my family when I was very young to the Scandinavian countries. So I've been to places like, Copenhagen. I went to Stockholm. I went to Oslo, and I went to Lithuania and St. Petersburg, Russia back in the day. So I've been to a lot of those Eastern countries, and I've seen them, and I remember them vividly because it was such a unique experience. But Western Europe for me is, I think, the next frontier when it goes, European style. Usually I go to Asia, but Europe is also part of that list too.
Paris and Poland. So you got, yeah, I like that. I'm sorry. Thomas G became a member. Thank you, Thomas. Very cool. I hope to get a new members video out in the morning. Filmo lives more like Luke, but always learns from Stan. And we change, man. Your strategy will change. It's good to know some overall other strategies, because you might find yourself moving towards that. It's your first time in Rome. I would not stay at the. Yeah, I'm not staying. I'm staying at the Waldorf. So I'm staying at the Waldorf Cavalieri, and
can't go wrong there.
Yeah. I'm going to do it. I'm going to do it. If my wife's going to make me go somewhere, we're going to go to the higher end. Texas Dog. Love Texas.
Oh,
$2 super chat. Thank you, sir.
Thanks so much.
Really sorry for you guys in Dallas. If you're from anywhere near Dallas, for losing probably the greatest basketball player in the NBA, but sorry guys. Me and Charles will not be back because we only went to Dallas to watch Luka play. But hopefully we'll get there some other way. Do you think U.S. Bank will revive the U.S. bar or introduce something similar? I think it'll come back.
I don't think it'll come back. I think it'll stay away. I think it's gonna be just a grandfathered card, just like the City, that card called the City. You know what I'm talking about? Not
Prestige.
The Strata Prestige. Thank you. I don't know why I was blanking. City Prestige. But I think they will eventually make another premium travel card in the future. That's what my prediction is going to be.
Data point for you guys. I called and I was not able to product change my U.S. Bank Cash Plus to a U.S. bar. They would not give me that option.
Unfortunate.
Yeah, because I wanted to get the card so I could talk even more trash about it.
Oh boy. Round two, right?
Yeah. Did a city to prefer a New Year's for Boston and Christmas in NYC? Yeah, guys, keep your eyes on a choice for sure. There we go. Okay, sorry if I asked already, but does SWA changes affect you in any way, Stan? Do you do a lot of paid flight or paid? What's it called? What do they call that cheap version?
The want to get away flights. Yeah, I mean, for me, it doesn't necessarily matter because most of my Southwest flights are business flights. I will say that I'm A-list preferred, so it actually makes it better because I get to choose any seat on the plane starting January 1st of next year, which is going to be great.
Okay.
So I think it's a positive change. I will say that as someone who flies Southwest at least 4 times a month, there has been an increase in people that pre-board, for better or for worse. Most of the time it's worse. Yeah.
So the wheelchair getting the miracle flight.
They call them Jetway Jesus. They find they kind of are. Anyways, I don't want to go down that road, but basically, there are more people that are on the plane before, people that are business class people or business flyers or even early boarders. You get on and basically the first 3 to 4 rows are full, and it's just so I think it's going to be a positive change, but I can see where there are others who may think otherwise because they do have a very generous pre-board policy right now.
I think he's talking about the way you earn with Want to Get Away. You're only going to be earning 1 or 2 Southwest points as opposed to it used to be 5, I think, 5 per dollar spent. They changed that to where if it's a Want to Get Away, they're cutting it down to 1 or 2 points. So
I see.
They're gutting the earnings for that.
That's interesting. I didn't see that, but I need to look into that because that's something that it would affect me because I do mainly fly on Want to Get Away fares.
So I assume it was 5 rapid rewards points per dollar spent on those flights. And I think now it's going down to 1 or 2. Which I don't understand. Okay. That doesn't seem like those loyalty programs are valuable to airlines. They made them much less valuable for us. So
I think they want to make it more like economy basic, a lot more like economy basic, as opposed to just they want to push you towards Want to Get Away plus, and then there's anytime fares and there's business select. So I think they just want to push you more towards the premium product.
It's puzzling to me because where I live in my airport, Southwest is not an inexpensive alternative. It's not cheaper than the other airlines. So, but we'll see how it goes. New again says that Eastern Europe is way expensive and a little bit overrated. Go and check it out, and then be on about your business.
He said Western Europe. Western Europe is way too expensive.
Western Europe way too expensive.
Yeah,
I don't know. Portugal's supposed to be.
I mean, Portugal, I heard really good things about too. I agree with, it's, this place is really expensive. It's Canada. That place is really expensive and you wouldn't expect it, but it is.
When I heard people say that Switzerland was expensive, I shrugged it off. I didn't pay attention to it. When I got to Switzerland, I understood what they were saying. It's almost prohibitively expensive. We sat down for lunch, just a lunch in a sit-down restaurant, but not a nice restaurant. $180 for 3 of us for some schnitzel, Yeah, for some schnitzel and a coffee. You know, it
Insane.
was tough.
Oh my goodness.
Calder got the City American Airlines mile up. He's going to product change that joker. It's on NerdWallet. Yeah, I think the article about it's on NerdWallet. It's on a few different outlets, but we'll have to check that out.
I'll definitely check
Stan,
it out.
it
But
is
thanks for the notice. Yeah.
Stan. It is 2 hours we've been on.
Hmm.
Southwest Deval. I think we are ready to go, guys. Oh boy, Matt Frost at the 0 hour hit us the 10.
Awesome.
Great
Thank
live,
you, Matt.
guys. Yeah, he likes the BOA U.S. Bank question. Absolutely. Roadmap here. My emotional state could not handle the Uncle Luke method. Have a great. Well, we appreciate you, Matt Frost. Absolutely.
Yeah. Well, you can see
guys,
how there's differences, right? Everyone has a different opinion, and that's why I think it's so valuable to just hear both sides to make your own judgment call.
100%. And I do think some of us are going to drift in and out of those two philosophies, maybe, depending on your season in life. All right, guys, we're at 2 hours. We're going to say we absolutely thank you for spending your time with us. We know you could be anywhere, but you're right here with us, and I hope you got some value out of this and something out of it. And one last thing, Big Mike with the Bengals icon is a new member. Oh boy,
awesome!
We're getting hit with €5 from Tommy G.
Awesome.
I want to answer this real quick. Will Capital One approve me for a venture card with no history if I open a bank account with them? And I think so. Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Based on what you've said. Now, if there are other factors that would disqualify you that I don't know about, then maybe. But based on I don't think there's any problem having no history. I think having no history with Capital One might be a good thing.
Yeah, and use a pre-approval tool as well. That's helpful.
Yes, and this is another topic I wanted to get onto, something else. Don't use the pre-approval tool. Not get pre-approved and then tell everybody in the world they hate you and they won't approve you because you haven't applied yet. We have guys on YouTube that will say 1,000,000 times that Capital One hates them and won't give them a card, but they've never applied because they didn't get pre-approved. That pre-approval tool is nice. It doesn't mean you can't get the card.
Yep. Shoot your shot.
Yeah, risk it for the biscuit, baby. All right, Stan, let's get out of here. Once again, appreciate you guys so much. And we're going to do this again on Stan's channel. So stay tuned and thank you guys and have a great weekend.
Thank you. Take care, guys.
I'm going to hit end stream twice.